Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy. Ooh, I want to talk about money. Y'all ready to talk about money? Who in here wants to have the money mindset? Right? Who wants to learn what it takes for us as women to rise higher, 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 higher? Right? We work hard. We should also have the net worth that reflects all the work that we do. I have a woman here today. I hope you got your pens on so you can take some notes. I have a woman here today who is a guru in finance. Yes, I said it, Sallie. I said it. A guru in finance, a leader in women's finance, and she has been an educator in this industry for probably, you're going to tell how many years, because I don't want to say too many, and then you go, Sybil, don't tell all that. Okay. For a long, long time. The founder of Ellevest and Ellevest. Stand up and give a round of applause for Salllie Krawcheck. I love how they gave you Cardi B. Do you love that?
I love it. Love
Dance
it.
in the roof.
I know. What was
Busting
that?
out
A
the roof.
long, long time. What kind of stuff was that?
Oh my gosh. Sallie.
Yes.
Sallie. We have to go deep, Sallie, and I don't know how much business you're going to be able to give us. Okay. We need to talk about money. We need to help every single woman in this room understand what she needs to do to optimize and bring volume to her net worth. Where does it start, Sallie?
It starts today. It starts today. First of all, let me say how thrilled I am and honored I am to be here. And this energy in this room is amazing. I have been locked up in my apartment with my husband way too long. This is the first time I've been out with a group like this, and I'm just so happy to be here. So, yes.
We're so glad to have you.
All right, so money.
Money.
We have unfortunately been going in the wrong direction. And the way to build generational wealth is to invest. It's to invest, if we can, in real estate, which historically has gone up about 3% a year. So not bad. It's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up, it's gone down. Or the stock market, which has gone up on average about 9.7% a year since the 1920s. The gender wealth gap, the racial wealth gap have been opening. And when you go through the math, a reason why is because we haven't invested as much as men have, and particularly white men. Investing is so powerful. The power of compounding is so powerful, where you invest some money and then you earn a return, and then you earn a return on the return, and a return on the return on the return on the return, that if you had invested $1,000 in 1900 and left it till today, and we had World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, stagflation, inflation, the great crash of 1929, the crash of 87, the subprime crisis, you go on, 2 pandemics. That $1,000 today would be worth $27 million. Wow. And so finding a way to get your debt paid off, which compounds in the wrong direction, right? You buy something on the credit card and you end up spending more in interest to Citibank, which I used to work at, so I can smack on them. You end up paying more in interest to Citibank for borrowing the money than you did for the item you purchased. So getting that paid down as best you can, and then beginning to invest, not trade Bitcoin, not do GameStop, not do any of that, but a simple, diversified investment portfolio like we do at Ellevest. That is the secret. I mean, just even if you can start with a few dollars and get a few dollars in there and get in the habit of paying yourself first and allowing that to grow. That has been why these wealth gaps have increased.
I love that. And you know something that I read somewhere where you were quoted saying, women, we want to know everything before we start, right? So before we start investing, we want to read the book, write the book, and have all the knowledge. Men don't know. They just kind of leap in. What are some of the other differences that you've seen between how men invest or how they commit to their finances and how we as women have done so?
Well, look, we get negative messages from childhood about money. That, when we look towards those who have money, of course, white men, when we get the messages in women's magazines, for example, for articles written to men, 72% of them about money are positive. Invest, grow, become CEO. 90% that are targeted to women are negative. Wow. 90%. Don't buy the latte. Remember that one? Don't have the facial. Don't buy the shoes. Don't buy the jewelry, even though it is just an asset allocation decision, okay? It's just I'm putting my money in a little jewelry instead of in the stock market. The other 10% is patronizing. Take this money quiz, right? And in fact, yesterday, before coming here, I went through a number of the women's websites just to see what money articles there were, and I went through 3 or 4 before I came across any money article. And the one that I first came across was what travel influencer Susie Smith wears to work. So don't pay attention to the gender and racial pay gaps, everybody. It's your fault because you're getting your hair done. And so as a result, women tend to, when we bring up money to a man, it's sort of a positive. And for women, it's sort of guilt. There's no amount of money we make we don't feel bad about. I'm making too little. My parents worked so hard. I'm making too much. My girlfriends aren't. And so the whole thing gets weird pretty fast. One other message, my old industry. If they were here today and they'd say, why don't women invest as much as men do? I'd say, one, we don't have as much as men do. Okay. But the other thing they'll say is women are risk averse. They're risk averse. Don't we all hear that? Yeah. Don't we believe it? It's not true. It's not true. The industry says we're risk averse because why? Because we don't invest as much as they do. So therefore, we must be risk averse. Ellevest was the first that said, well, there may be another reason for that, which is in an investing industry in which 99% of investment dollars are managed at companies owned by white men, and 98% of mutual fund dollars are managed by white men, and 90+% of traders on Wall Street are men, and 86% of financial advisors are white men, average age 63. Businesses I used to run more over the age of 80 than under the age of 30. When we look at that industry, it doesn't reflect us back. And so we don't feel welcome. The industry has had minimums, 50,000, 2,500, 500 that are sexist and racist. And so Ellevest was the first, and we're not perfect, but said, we're going to build a business from the ground up based on thousands of hours of research with women on what makes them feel good about money, what will make us engage with our money. And what we found are things that we're not risk averse, we're risk aware. How much money could I lose if the market goes down, right? Oh, now that I can see that in my Ellevest graph, I can handle that. Yeah. I got it, right? But we were built, the other thing we learned is that when you say to a woman, what do you want your investment to do? Only 1 out of 1,000 said, I want to outperform the market, right? And then she said, is that the right answer? But what we found is truly motivating is goal-based investing. Sallie, I want to open a business in 5 years. This is how much money I make today. This is how much savings I have. Can I do that? How much do I need to have? Will you put together an investment portfolio that gets me there? We do this all online. Sallie or Ellevest, I want to have a baby in 3 years. How much money? I want to buy a house. How much house can I afford? Put together an investment portfolio that gets me there based on your area of the country, the industry you're in, your earnings, etc. We are the only investing offering out there that takes into account one's gender in investing for retirement. Women earn less, our salaries peak sooner, we take more career breaks, and we live longer. So if you don't take that into account in your retirement planning, we can die without having the adequate money. Of course, if you're a dude and you die with too much money, big deal. So we really were the first built for women.
Wow. And thank you for being the first to step out there and say this and that conversation is so essential. In our Facebook community, we've asked questions about, do you feel comfortable talking about money with your great girlfriends? Do you talk about your salary? Who in here talks about their salary with their great girlfriends? Less than 50%.
Yeah.
Who in here has asked a great girlfriend how much they should ask for when negotiating? Okay, a few more people. Okay, and who in here has had a male mentor that they've been able to ask about these things? So what we learned in our Facebook community is that women are asking questions, probably not the right questions, around salary and what to ask for and how to prepare themselves financially. And there's a little bit of head bumping where you're bumping your head against the wall. You want more, and like you said, have the goals in mind, but the know-how is where we find that weakness. What should we be asking when we're talking to our great girlfriends about salary, about the offering table?
Well, first of all, with Ellevest, we started as an investing company. And then we began to ask questions of women in our community of what do you most want in the money world? And the number one answer we got is, I want to make more money at work. Now, when you say that to Citibank, they say, would you like a high interest rate checking account? At Ellevest, we have hired a team of career coaches, money coaches that are there either as part of your membership in a larger group or one-on-one sessions. The majority of our coaches are women of color, so that you not only can talk to your great girlfriends about this, you can also have someone who reflects you to come and join. You know, we actually have, we should give away some of these for free to this group, but we actually have money parties that we do, you know, where you pull together your girlfriends, you have a glass of wine, you know, one of our coaches, you know, comes in, you know, typically by Zoom these days, and you talk through all the money issues with her. What I would say is what us girlfriends can do for each other is talk each other up. And as we ask for those raises, pretend like we're asking for the girlfriend sitting beside us, because what we found as women is it's harder to advocate for ourselves. We will advocate for our dear friends and our children all day long. So you have to, you know, the research has shown if you think I'm doing this for my girlfriend, then you tend to be much more, you know, and aggressive can be a tough word, but you tend to be more forceful, which tends to lead to some success.
Can anyone relate to that? Yeah. I see it in Diana's face. It's true, like you do feel more confident and stronger when I can see her worth, I can see her value, but now I have to go in the room and represent my own, and there's that timidity that comes into play. And I have to take Lisa's statement. She said, I'm the new hotness. That brings a certain level of confidence to you to let you know that you qualify to ask for these things. There was another piece that came to the table about student loans. Student loans, yeah. Student loans, they haunt, and they affect our decision making or our courage to go after greater, larger decisions like real estate and investing.
Yeah.
In your experience, what have you seen as, I know there's not a quick solution to eliminating student loan debt, but what are some of the choices that help you navigate that debt much faster?
Well, first of all, we need to write all of the student loans the F off.
Sallie for president.
God. I mean, these things, no. Saddling our young people with this kind of burden early in life, you know, I can't believe the people who have the gall to talk about, you know, young people are so entitled. You know, what my generation did is, you know, I got through college with no loans. When I went to the University of North Carolina, it cost $500 a semester, okay? I was gonna say I'm not that old, but I am, actually. But what we have done, forget it, you know, we can talk about the environment, but what we've done to our economy with, you know, the subprime bubble and crisis, which disproportionately hurt people of color, the internet bubble burst, all of these sort of ups and downs that we've had that have left young people without the resources that the generation had before them. Millennial black women are worse off than the generation before them, which feels so against, the progress that we should be making. Again, the secret. The thing we'd love to do is get that debt paid off and get to investing, because that's what changes that. Now, on debt, and when you think about your finances, the first thing I want everybody to do is to get focused on paying off high interest rate debt. Anything above 7% interest rate, you want to try to take that extra money every month and get that paid down. If your student loans or any other kind of debt are below 5% or so, leave that, pay, the amount you owe, but you'd rather take an extra dollar there and invest it in your 401k or with an Ellevest, okay? Because historically the markets, while they've done this, by the way, we as women tend to think the stock market does that. It does that, okay, historically. So if it's below 5%, you can leave it. The next thing you want to be doing is starting to build your emergency fund. You want to try to get to 3 months if you're younger, 6 months if your life is more complicated, which for so many women it is, of take-home pay. And that can take a while to build. At the same time, if you work for a company that gives you a match on your 401k, that's called free money. And if you get 50 cents for every dollar that you put in, you just got a 50% return. Now you got to stay working for the company, and sometimes that makes a lot of sense and sometimes it doesn't, but getting that 50% return is the best return you'll get anywhere. And so as you're building your emergency fund, you want to be investing in the 401k or the IRA. Then you want to start investing with, say, an Ellevest in a diversified investment portfolio, okay? So as for the money that comes in every week, every 2 weeks, every month, a goal, which you will not achieve when you're younger and when you're more mature, is to have 50% of it go to your needs. 30% we hope can go to fun, because we don't know how long we're on this earth, for goodness sake. And 20% goes to what I say future you, grandma you. And that's the money, the 20% is where you're paying down your debt, you're building your emergency fund, you're investing. When you're younger, and if you have family members you're taking care of, that can be tougher, right? Your rent can eat up all of whatever. When you're moving on in life and the kids are launched, then you may want to invest more. Those numbers will change. But that's a way of trying to, break down what the incoming is, is a goal.
And if you're an entrepreneur, how many entrepreneurs do we have in the room? Many entrepreneurs will say, there's not every 2 week.
No,
Okay.
no. And we actually have some modeling we do about, as an entrepreneur, to forecast out what it's going to be over the course of a year, right? And there'll be ups and downs. And what you'll want to try to do is every time you take money out of the business, every time you get paid, still try to use that 50-30-20 rule. It'll just be a lumpier thing. But hats off to entrepreneurs. What a tough way to make a living.
That's so true. So one other question that came up that I thought was a really great one was, if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, how do you know when it's time to take out a loan? And how do you approach that conversation with a financial institution?
Yeah. Look, you want to be as careful about it as you can in the early days. You hope that you take out a loan as the revenues begin to come in, and you feel like, as my ex-co-founder used to say, you put a quarter in and a dollar comes out, right? Whether you're adding another person and they're profitable pretty quickly, whether you're doing ads and you can sort of, begin to project how much that brings into you. So you hope that you can hold off to take out that loan when you're ready to accelerate, as opposed to ready to start. That isn't how it is for everybody. Sometimes you got to put it on the credit card debt just to bet on yourself and get it started. But ideally, you do it when you feel like the business has got a little stability to it. And so starting a business that can have revenue early on, which I couldn't do with Ellevest, should be prioritized if you can.
Yeah. And I know that there's a great girlfriend in the room that's thinking that all of this is easier said than done, and probably sitting with a money story that makes them feel disempowered over feeling empowered. What would you say to someone who is recovering from the storm and trying to build out a new emotional attachment or relationship with money? What is that starter for them?
Yeah, look, I think everybody's got a story. My story, in recognizing that I grew up with terrific privilege, my story is I got married at the age of 23, as my family does. I outsourced my money to him because that's what you do. And after he had an affair with my friend and hit me, I said, you know what? This marriage ain't gonna last. And I gotta leave him, and I have no idea how much money we've got. And so the lesson for me at the time was, I gotta take this back. In fact, 98%, so women die alone or die without a partner. The vast majority of women are not partnered when they pass away because we live longer than the men in our lives, or we get divorced, or we were never partnered to begin with. When we outsource that money to our partner and it comes back to us, 74% of women have a negative surprise. And there are no loans for retirement, right? There's student loans, which are horrible, but there are no loans for retirement. And so taking control over our money and taking action on it, whereas money is our number one source of stress, taking action on your money, beginning to pay down a little extra on the student loan debt, so you're making a little progress, getting that raise at work, opening an investment account and putting in a recurring deposit. That is the number one driver of women's confidence in their future, feeling like you've got it at least under control. We talk at Ellevest a lot these days about financial wellness. It's not financial independence. It's knowing what you've got, it's knowing where you're going, and it's feeling good about it. And so 98% of women who have been widowed say the number one piece of advice they would give to other women is to get in there with the money. You can't get 98% of groups of women to agree on anything, but they do agree on this important thing. And so recall that we've had the negative talk about money our whole lives has turned into what can be negative self-talk. But in order to love yourself, emotional wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness, all important. But without financial wellness, we corrode away at the underlying infrastructure. And so again, it doesn't have to be financial independence, but it's getting your arms around it. I'd love all of you to visit us at Ellevest. It is really a company like no other. We're 75% women. We're majority of our investors are women, including Venus Williams was investing in us from the very beginning. Melody Hobson was investing. Valerie Jarrett is an investor. We're majority women owned. We're 76% women, 50% plus people of color, 20% plus LGBTQIA, helping women invest often in other women. We are not perfect, but we don't look like any other investing or financial wellness company out there. If you come visit us and you use the code TGG when you go through the app, you can then try it for free for a month. And take a look at our content and the coaching we've got, because we've got a very talented, very diverse team there that works really hard on this stuff. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here today, Sallie. Great girlfriends, let's give it up for Salllie Krawcheck, founder of Ellevest. All right, great girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends, follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends, and on Twitter at @the_greatGFS. I'm Sybil and I'm out. Peace.